Today we're talking Rolex Datejusts, women's watches, and my reaction to the Glashutte Original Senator 60s iconic collection.
You ask questions, and I answer them.
Kind of like Gary Vee, but like for watches.
What's up, watch geeks? I'm Christian, and welcome to episode 2 of AskTnH. Episode 1 went really well, I think. We have a link. We put a link right there for episode 1. If you haven't seen it already, check it out. It was really exciting. But let's get into episode 2. Start the show.
I'm considering making the jump and getting my first Rolex. Should I go with a vintage Datejust or a modern one?
It's no secret that I'm vintage. I mean, I am almost 100% vintage. I'm not 100%. There are people that are. But when it comes to Datejust, there is no doubt that vintage is the way to go. I'll tell you why. Modern Datejusts are expensive. No, modern Datejusts offer, I think, 3 things. They offer maybe 3 qualities, 3 characteristics that make them worth buying. Reliability. Which is, I mean, a Rolex thing. I mean, Rolex has been reliable. The movements aren't beautiful. You know, nothing is like just kind of stunning to look at mechanically, but it's solid and it's reliable. It's offering a classic design that it just shows the heritage. I mean, Rolex is constantly saying, "We are Rolex." You know, in their design. You know, these designs are successful, right? And then the third thing that it's saying is that statement of success, that luxury that Rolex does exude. Even though there are more refined and luxurious brands, Rolex is the crown, right? And I think that those 3 things are found in the modern Datejust at what, $6,800 for a smooth bezel, and like $78 for a fluted. I mean, there's no value there. I mean, you get them on the pre-owned market, even a modern Datejust in the pre-owned market, for several $1,000s less. And I'm just not into anything, whether it's cars, watches, I mean, any material item that's going to depreciate that quickly. If it's a risk, that's fine, but this is a guarantee you'll lose money. So then the next step for me would be, okay, now address vintage. You're getting those same things, same 3 things. You're getting the reliability of the movement, of the calibers, and the kind of build quality, the stainless steel, really hardy watch. I think it's hardy. You're getting the design. I mean, you're actually getting a more true version of the design at the 36 millimeters as opposed to what, I don't know, is it close to 40 now for the Datejust? So you're actually getting even a more true version, a more pure version of that classic design that got them where they are today. And third, you're still getting that Rolex crown, that sign of success to a large degree, of luxury, and kind of, I know what I'm doing, you know. And I think that a vintage Datejust says more, that I know what I'm doing. Modern Datejust to me, and this is not like objective, but to me it says, you know, I've obviously got a couple of bucks. I walked into Wempy, I picked out which one I liked the way that one looked through the dial configuration, and I bought it. Whereas a vintage Datejust implies a little more curation and care. And then finally, with price, you're talking $8,000 versus give or take 3. And there's just no contest there. There is no contest.
What is a woman's watch? Can I buy my wife a man's watch?
Can you buy your wife a man's watch? Yes, absolutely. Women's watches versus men's watches, I think it's a marketing ploy entirely, and I think it's a bad marketing ploy. I mean, we're all cool with, you know, with marketing and being, you know, persuaded into kind of falling for certain, you know, bullshit, you know. But when it comes to this men's watch versus women's watch, there's no difference. There was a difference at a certain point in time, but that's gone. I mean, today, for example, John F. Kennedy. I mean, one of the most like respected, you know, men in American history, world history, just a really cool guy that absolutely stands for refined masculinity. Guy wore a tank and like a vintage Omega. I mean, you're talking about watches that were 33 millimeters. I mean, a vintage tank is a small watch. There's just no doubt about it. No, I think he owned a Date 8 too, but that's kind of up to controversy. Bottom line is, back then, what was considered, or what is still kind of looked at as a real man and a masculine guy and his watch, would now, you know, pale in comparison and be looked at as a women's watch. I think that's ridiculous. Even men should be wearing smaller watches. Men are wearing smaller watches, I think, in the last 2-3 years. And as far as women's watches, they're wearing bigger watches than they used to. Women's watches used to be these petite little things, but now in modern day kind of watchmaking and wear, at 35, 36, 37 millimeters, a woman can wear anything. I mean, I always tell people, okay, you want to buy your wife a watch, okay, look at our watches, but don't, look at vintage watches, but don't filter, oh, men, women. No, I mean, this vintage Omega at 34 millimeters will look perfect on your wife, regardless of whether or not it's marketed toward a man or a woman. So yes, buy your wife a man's watch or a woman's watch if that goes for you. They're equally as nice, I guess. The Glashutte Original Senator 60s Iconic Collection. I mean, did they say that name aloud before they started marketing it? I mean, shit, right? Am I crazy? I love Glashutte Original. I have a weak spot for so few modern brands, and that is definitely one of them. Still, I don't know if I would go for one new. They are, a lot of money to buy new. If you can also, ride that kind of slope down as soon as, some guy buys it for $7,500, wears it for 6 months, and then sells it back to you for $5,500. So if you're going to buy a Glashutte Original or any watch, I think you should definitely buy it on the, pre-owned market. But this watch in particular, I think it is awesome. I mean, no doubt, bar none. First of all, the Senator 60s collection alone is sweet. The numerals are really funky. They're very reminiscent. Actually, not reminiscent. They are the numerals they were using in the 60s, which is just super cool. They've really kept their heritage. They've blown up the case size a little bit to 39 millimeters. I think 39 millimeters, which is big, but it's not. I mean, it is big, but with a leather strap, with conservative, kind of dress, it's not ostentatious at all. But correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, the only difference in this new iconic collection is the dials, right? The dials are the only kind of the new different thing. And they're funky and they're weird. I think there was like 5 dials, different colors. There's like a gray, a red, a blue, a couple other ones. And they're funky. I don't know if I would buy one. Maybe that's personal taste. I mean, they're super cool. I'd love to look at one and appreciate one. I would appreciate the guy who was wearing one across from me at dinner, but to spend 5, 6, 7, I think the retail 7,000 and change is a lot of money, no doubt. But for actually watchmaking, what I think is super cool about that particular watch is it's reminding the public, or at least real watch geeks, that dials are really important. Dials are not to be overlooked. I mean, yeah, we know, okay, enamel dials are really important, and yeah, they're really valuable, and we don't overlook those. But regular dials, it's a color to most people. It's a color and it's a design. There's no technique. I mean, no one looks at that. When you go into Rolex and you pick out a dial, no one's really asking, what the material was, unless it was, encrusted, or what the process, encrusted in diamonds, or what the process was to make it. With the Glashutte Original, they have these effect on the, I think especially on the gray one, I don't know if it's on a couple, what is it? It's like lacquer work, right? I think they did like this kind of lacquer work that gave it this raindroppy feel, that gives it this really textured feeling, which is like in your face, reminding you, dials are cool, let's put more value and time into dials. I like that. I mean, I like any brand that makes a statement like that. And I love Glashutte Original. My only gripe with that watch, as is with all of Glashutte Original Senator 60s models, they're still using that movement. I don't know what the caliber is, but if you flip it over, flip the case back, it's a sapphire case back, and you see it's a gorgeous movement. I mean, the perlage, I believe, is there, but definitely the Geneva stripes are there. Beautiful. The rotor is kind of like hollowed out in gold. It's really gorgeous, but it's like a 28 millimeter movement, and that's from the original movement, and that's really small. Especially in that big 39 millimeter case back, it looks ridiculous in my opinion. I was actually considering buying one. I went to the store at Tourbillon and I was talking to them about it, and they said, no, their response to my, my concern or question about the size of the movement was, well, if something's good, you don't change it. I just don't agree with that. If something's good, you do change it to stay relevant. You do change it to give the customer or the client the best for now. So I love the watch. I think it's great. The dials are beautiful. They remind us all of, to pay more attention to dials. and there's no shame in having one. There would actually be quite a bit of pride in buying one of those watches, and I would really be jealous of the guy with really cool, glasses and a nice shirt with one of those dials underneath his sleeve across from me at dinner. I'd be jealous. All right, guys, thanks for watching episode 2 of AskTnH. Tune in next week, Wednesday at 5 o'clock for the next episode.